Today, we are diving straight into the completely fascinating behavioral science and neurochemistry that make video games so incredibly hard to put down. Look, whether you're just a casual mobile player killing time or a dedicated console gamer, those digital worlds you're exploring, they are meticulously crafted to capture your attention. We're going to decode the hidden mechanics that make gaming feel so rewarding, and then we'll responsibly explore the ongoing medical debate about what actually happens when that engagement goes just a little too far. So here's our agenda. We'll be peeling this topic back layer by layer, starting with why we play games, looking at systems of player progression, the mechanics of the compulsion loop, some psychological tricks that hook us, and finally, defining internet gaming disorder. But before we break down all those mechanics, we really have to ask ourselves a pretty provocative question. Is the game playing you? You see, as games have shifted heavily toward freemium models, just getting your attention, well, that isn't enough anymore. Developers absolutely need to keep it, and understanding exactly how they do that is more important now than ever before. Okay, let's jump into section 1, why we play games and how they fulfill our basic human needs. It really all starts with something called self-determination theory. Now, games obviously aren't necessary for our actual survival, right? But they perfectly satisfy 3 core psychological needs. First up is competence. You might not, fly spaceships for a living, but a game gives you a safe space to master a skill and feel genuinely accomplished. Second is autonomy. Think about open-world games. They let you dictate your very own path without any real-world consequences. And finally, relatedness. Games are just a uniquely powerful tool for forming social bonds, whether you're teaming up with friends or competing against strangers for a high score. Moving right along to section 2, systems of player progression, or basically how games consistently reward our time. Think about it. Every single player goes on a journey, and that journey is shaped by 2 main types of progression. Horizontal progression is all about broadening your tactical choices. It's like unlocking a cool new character class or finding a radically different weapon. It gives you agency. Vertical progression, on the other hand, is your classic leveling up. Your stats simply increase so you can go out and crush tougher enemies. Working together, these 2 systems ensure that literally every minute you invest feels incredibly rewarding. All right, section 3, the mechanics of the compulsion loop and the neurochemistry of engagement. And that brings us to the big one, dopamine. It's the neurotransmitter that regulates our brain's pleasure center. Games utilize this brilliant 4-part compulsion loop to consistently trigger it. First, you have the motivation, a task paired with the promise of a reward. Second, you're given a clear, actually achievable challenge. Third, you complete that challenge and get the reward, which triggers a literal chemical dopamine hit right in your brain. And the 4th step, the formula simply repeats. But here's the crucial catch. While these loops are totally natural, and honestly, they feel amazing, modern game design often completely removes the exit point. I mean, in the real world, major achievements are pretty rare, right? But in a game, you are never far from your next neurochemical party. And this leads to infinite gameplay, kind of trapping us in a continuous, endless cycle of tasks and rewards. Which leads us to section 4, the psychological tricks that hook us and the behavioral science used in game design. So the first trick developers use is the near-miss effect. Developers know that catastrophic failures will just make you want to quit. So instead, they engineer near misses. This is borrowed straight from casino slot machines, by the way. It's a psychological illusion that tricks your brain into thinking, oh man, I was so close. My chances must be higher next time. It is literally designed to ensure you instinctively hit that retry button. Then there's this wild paradox known as variable rate reinforcement. Counterintuitively, our human brains actually respond way more strongly to random, uncertain rewards than to guaranteed ones. If you earn exactly 5 gold coins every single level, that gets boring fast. But a random chance to earn anywhere from 1 to 10, now that is a thrill. And this is exactly why mechanics like loot boxes are so wildly effective. And finally, we have loss aversion. Look, humans naturally love to win, and we absolutely hate to lose. So to prevent you from rage quitting, games carefully balance the stakes. Behavioral economics shows that we prefer our rewards in one massive chunk, but we want our losses to be tiny and spread out over time. To keep you playing, a game has to masterfully manipulate exactly how those rewards and losses are distributed. Let's head into our final section, section 5, defining internet gaming disorder, and what happens when engagement crosses the line. Now, it's really important to point out right up front that global medical authorities are totally split on this issue. On one side, you have the World Health Organization, which officially includes gaming disorder as a formal behavioral classification. But on the other side, the American Psychiatric Association classifies it as a condition requiring further research, meaning it is not yet a formal diagnosis. We're just here to objectively outline this ongoing debate. To really understand what the medical community is looking out for, let's look at the proposed symptoms. And to be clear, this is not just about playing a lot of video games. It includes deep preoccupation, experiencing real withdrawal symptoms like anxiety or sadness, building a tolerance, and having unsuccessful attempts to quit. But most importantly, it involves actually risking a job, your education, or your relationships. Under the proposed criteria, a person would need to exhibit 5 or more of these severe impairments within a single year. To put this whole intense medical debate into perspective, a major cross-national study revealed a pretty surprising fact. While massive portions of the global population play online games, only between 0.3% and 1.0% might actually qualify for a potential diagnosis. So it's a tiny but very real percentage of people. And this brings us to a vital distinction that researchers make: passionate engagement versus actual pathology. There is a world of difference between being an enthusiastic gamer locked into a great flow state and suffering from a true distressing addiction. The differentiating factor is always whether the behavior is causing significant distress and impairment in a person's actual real-world life. So, in a world literally full of carefully tailored compulsion loops and endless dopamine buffets, our brains are just hooked on novelty and challenge. The next time you pick up a controller or open an app on your phone, take a quick second to evaluate your own digital habits. Ask yourself, are you getting back enough actual enjoyment and fulfillment for the valuable time you are giving to the game? Thank you so much for exploring the psychology of game design with me today.